Today we are transforming this vanilla jungle into an overgrown tropical rainforest thriving with life. Join me as we will replace all the vanilla trees with beautiful natural looking ones, and we create peaceful scenes with splashing waterfalls, bamboo forests, and a tropical beach. So grab your cherry chai or whatever you like to drink, get cozy, and lean back as we give the jungle in Minecraft a makeover. Hello, I'm floating right now above the place that we're gonna transform. So this is the whole area I do want to transform today. I do also want to branch off for some of the trees on these sides, but maybe just at the edges. And you're probably wondering what that bit of leaves is, because yeah, it doesn't quite look like a vanilla jungle tree. This, my dear friends, is the mother tree. And the mother tree is something I have built in survival. Now though, I'm in creative because I ported this world over from an SMP that is now kind of done. So let me show you guys the plan for the video. So first we obviously want to change the trees, and then we have 3 spots we want to work on. One of them is at the bottom right down there is this little lake that I really like, and I really want to do something cool with it. The second thing we're going to work on is at the top, this little lake going around the corner over there, and I want to make like a cool bamboo forest over there where the bamboo is growing out of the water and it's ending on this beautiful coral reef over there. And the last thing we're going to do is right next to it, the beach. I want to make it more beachy, I want to make it tropical, I want to give it some palm trees. So let's just get started with all of the trees all around the place, and obviously also some plants on the floor. So the first step we need to do for that is quite obviously getting rid of the trees. Just like one wise comment once said before, we destroy trees to make new ones. And to make this process a lot easier, I have a lovely plugin installed that is called World Edit. So I'm just gonna go click over here, / replace jungle leaves with air. Whoop. We can also replace the jungle log with air, so then this happens. And yeah, I have to do that with the whole jungle now, so here we go. That's what it looks like without the trees. I think it's a nice view to behold. So as you can see here, I removed most of the trees. This mountain is fully empty. There was a normal oak forest over there, so I changed the biome to jungle. But yeah, I'm very curious to see what it will look like when I put trees next to my buildings, especially the tree. So we have this tree here, and we have this tree, and we have some palm trees that I made last episode. If you want to see how I build palm trees, I made a video on that when the Happy Gus came out. For the big trees, we're gonna do it together now because these are kind of like the main thing that's gonna be on the jungle, and I know I already have 2 of them. So this is like the very big one. I'm not gonna go bigger, except like pasting them at a higher point and making the stem a little larger. But I wanna for sure make a tree that is in a size in between these 2, because you see there is a big difference between these 2. It's like tiny and it's giant. So what we're gonna do now, build a middle one. We're gonna start with using the same block palette, so I can just show you guys. The block palette is mainly spruce and oak. You ask why not jungle wood? Because jungle wood doesn't really go well with these stairs, also doesn't go well with these stairs. So I just decided against using jungle wood because there's just no stairs that go along with it. And with oak and spruce, it's a very, very nice combination that works perfectly fine. So this is a very straight stem. I'm just gonna make it a little bit thicker. I do say we split it up over there. I'm gonna give some stairs at the bottom. So an important thing when I'm building trees is the main mistake that I make is I just build in 2 directions and then I call it a day. Yeah, trees kind of don't just go in 2 directions. If I do it in Minecraft, I do it more like a cross kind of shape, like one to this side, one to this side, one to this side, and one to this side. And then we can also transition over here because like these stairs can give like an extra level. Looking good, looking smooth. I could branch out over here and then it bends like this. And I'm going to do the same on the other ones. So now we need to make little branches. So I'm just doing random fence stuff. All we gonna do is try. All we can do is try. If you look at it from the top, it should kind of look like this, like always going outwards, until it kind of looks like this. So now that we go over to the leaves, last video I hand placed all of these and I struggled a lot because it was so much work. And then I was wondering, is there maybe a command in World Edit that helps me out with the floating leaf situation? Because all of these leaves are kind of floating around in the air. So I was looking up if you can randomize blocks with World Edit. And you can. My test looks like this. I do have to adjust the command a little bit because this is 50% blocks and 50% air. Oh wait, 20% air? Yeah, now this is 50% air. It's still too much though. So we're gonna go up to 70%. That looks more like it. So I'll make the tree top first, and then I copy this and paste it into this, and then it should work. That's a cube of leaves. Very solid. It's a very solid blob, isn't it? 90% air. I think I like this. This is how I would hand place it. So if you want to know how to make this blob of leaves, this is the percentage. 10% one of that leaf type, 5% the other one, so it's a little textured and varied, and then 85% air. So let's just put the tree in there. So we have to find the end of the tree and the start of the tree to copy it. / copy. Now I'm going under this big blob and I need to find the center, and we do / paste. The first problem I see is we didn't make minus air. Undo if you did something wrong. Paste minus air. This is a Minecraft tree if I ever saw one. Another shaping, okay? So basically all I'm gonna do now is shape off the edges first to make a round. And then I try to give it more of an interesting shape so it's not just a ball of leaves. Now that we have the tree, we definitely still want to decorate with vines. The only problem with vines though is I can't manually place them under another, and I also can't bone meal them to get longer. So the only way I can make them grow is by turning on the vine spread again. I have vine spread turned off right now because I needed tick speed to regrow the stuff, and I found out about the vine spread command, which is much better because tick speed you kind of need that because they're always like sheep are always eating grass. So to be able to make these vines grow without corrupting the other trees that I have, because like these vines will grow too, I will place this tree just somewhere else to make that. You might wonder, Josie, why are you not just leaving on vine spread and just putting string underneath it or barrier blocks? Well, I can answer that question. Vines literally go in every direction, and I tried it before, but they keep on growing on the barrier blocks. And it's been so annoying that I just don't want to bother with that anymore, so just turn it off. This is definitely no longer in the render distance, so let's just randomly place vines in here. Then we turn back on vine spread and set our tick speed to 100. Oh my goodness, no. Dang it. The leaves that we placed down are not hand-placed ones. I mean, a couple of them are hand-placed as you see, but if you turn on tick speed, these are decaying, so let me Google real quick. I found a solution thanks to the kind YouTuber Ho Race that made a tutorial on this. So basically, I do / replace hand jungle leaves. I hold it in my hand, like they replace the block that I hold in my hand with jungle leaves and then persistent too. And I think the persistent part makes it not decay. And then I also replace mangrove. Tick speed to 100 again, and it's not decaying. Goodness, I'm so glad it is not because I was so scared. We fixed it, so let's place the vines again. Goodness. So now we can turn off the tick speed again and make the vines actually grow. I'm glad it works now. I'm gonna stop it here. Let's just trim a couple and paste it down in our testing grounds so we can always copy it from here. And now I can fly up to my base, pick a nice spot for the tree, and I paste minus air. Ooh. So that's all we're gonna do now. We're just gonna paste these trees around here. But I'm not gonna start with the middle ones. I'm actually gonna start with the tall ones so we can fit the middle ones next and then the small ones, so we kind of work our way down to smaller. So we're starting with the big ones, then we're working our way down to the middle-sized ones, and then we're ending it up with the tiny ones, making sure we get the big ones out of the way first and then work our way down. If we want to make some height variations in between these three sizes, we can just flow up in the air a little bit above the ground, paste the tree, and then all I'm gonna do is make the stem longer then. So we have different sized trees. So this is what it looks like now with all of the trees placed down, and I do think it looks really nice. I really like it. And if you chill by the water, for example, you see these new trees here. The next thing we need to do is fix the floor down there, because this looks like a normal forest, not necessarily like a jungle. So what we can do to fix it is, first of all, we can pick some of the leaves, especially azalea, because they're not the same color as the jungle leaves. But since the jungle leaves are on the top, it's also fine to decorate with some oak bushes then and there. So there's many plants like drip leaf that you can use to decorate. Also the small ones that I can't place because I need moss for this. I can place the small ones here. Then my all-time favorite, the fern, holds a place in my heart. It definitely fits into the jungle very well. And then we obviously can make some spaces where we decorate with a certain color of flower, make like a big bush of one type of flower, and we can also do the same with like different ones, with yellow ones on different spots and stuff. For some ambience, we can also use the new firefly bushes. And if we fly over to our testing area, we can get some of these palm tree tops that we can either use on the ground as little plants or in the air to make some palm trees out of it. And more about the palm trees later when we do the beach. So the last thing I want to add for decorating are these trees. We can also paste these around here. And yep, I need to remove the sand from this. I definitely need to copy these without the sand, but I kind of like adding stone. So yeah, I might also add some stone in between, some little rocks, because that makes sense. These are supposed to be little banana trees. And there we are. That, my dear friends, is what the jungle looks like now, and it all looks so much more natural and so much more fluffy. Nothing looks flat anymore. I absolutely love it. And since we're looking at the map right now, we're starting the second part of the video now, where we are working on individual little places. So the first place we're working on is the little tiny lake you see over there. So let's just fly down there to show you guys the place. So this is what the place looks like. We have this cliffside over here. We have the forest around it, and it goes down very low, which is quite cool. Like, I do like that it's going down. There's also this little island in the middle. I don't know if I want to do something with it. I might want to do something with it. I kind of like the idea of having this little rock there. Maybe we want to make it look more rocky. That could be an idea. The first thing we are going to start with is a little bit of terraforming and texturing, and I don't quite know about this hole, but I might want to close it off. And I do want to make a spot where the waterfall comes from, because I want to make a waterfall going down. I want to make like a tiny pond. And there's also something I want to do with this rock. I want to make it go mossy the further it goes up, and then I want to top it off with some moss on top. So, and then I want to texture with some andesite, because it's just like very close to stone. We have a tiny one here which is floating. You know what, that's kind of fun. That's kind of interesting. So I adjusted the terrain to set up a perfect place where we can build a custom waterfall. Ooh, and this is what it looks like. Now we have two different ponds, a waterfall falling down, which we are going to change. It's not going to stick like this. But before we work on the waterfall, I want to defo spice up this place a bit, because it still looks a little plain. First of all, there is these couple of oak bushes around there, and I want to extend them a little bit. Like, I do like having these bushes around here. Less squared, more fluffy. And then for more variety, I would also want to do the same, just with azalea leaves. And then I'm just gonna add a variety of plants that I like. This is a very perfect place, but there's still one thing that I want to work on, and it's this waterfall, because it's lame. I want to make it look like a real waterfall by using glass. I never did that before, but I want to try. So first of all, we're blocking off all of the water. So we're making this with glass. I thought of like making some random patterns and then also using glass panes in there. I could make like glass in front of it, kind of like dripping. I don't even know if I want to use full blocks. Maybe I just want to use glass panes. Where did I get the idea from? You can guess 3 times. I got the idea from B-Dubs. He's doing stuff like that all the time with waterfalls and whatnot. He's doing that really well, and I wanted to give it a try because, okay, I can do that too. I definitely could do that too. I don't know what I'm doing, but I will eventually find a way. I mean, it can look a little weird at the top because there is a lot more steam theme going on, and yeah, I think it already looks kind of interesting. Okay, so I think what we're gonna do is always connect two. Could make some of them go like forwards. Maybe if I use, yeah, I can use gray glass to make it slimmer. That's actually a good idea. I want to avoid the debug stick because I want to do it so you could also do it in survival. So yeah, I think I figured something out. So basically the idea is that some of the glass is gonna go in front of it, so it's like not connecting to the other things. And if we want something half white, we're just gonna use gray glass. And for the bottom, I will use glass blocks to make a little steam effect. And then I kind of figured out a workflow that worked for me, and I think it looks really great. Look at this, it's finished, it's finished. The whole place is finished. And if you want to see it in shaders, you have to stick around till the end. I really looked at the reference picture of Beat Up's Waterfall a lot, and that's what I came up with. So basically, you have like the bottom is like just a few, then we have like half, and then we have the full ones. That's kind of how I made it. I was thinking about adding these particles, but I don't quite know if I can put like, I mean, I can try it with slabs. I don't know, do slabs work? Okay, slabs do work. So let's just place some campfires on it, this place. See this steaminess? Yes. So now that we're done with this part over there, looking really cool from the map already, we're gonna go over to the bamboo lake at the top left over there. So let's just head down there. There is no bamboo yet, obviously, but there's gonna be bamboo pretty soon. So first of all, I'd say let's define the shape of the river. I think the terrain needs a little bit of adjustments, especially with the biome changes here. Like this is just gray grass, I don't like it. I'm just gonna mainly replace the edges with moss, and I terraformed it a bit to give the river a better shape. This is supposed to be a bamboo forest part with bamboo in the water. I plan to do it how I did it here. So I'm building these little bamboo trees with at the bottom a moss block so they can be on the water. And to make them look like bamboo under the water, I used drip leaf to make it look like they continue under the water. So let's build one of these bamboo things in the air so we can copy them. So we place a bamboo here, then I'm gonna place some leaves on the side. I'm gonna mix in some of the jungle leaves, and then it looks like this. I might just make a couple different sized ones, and to make them in the water, I might just do this and then place bamboo on top. I can just pick the lowest spot where it's like the deepest. For example here, so I'll place the drip leaf here, and it's gonna be really, really long. So if I copy these and do paste, I think the problem will be that it goes through the ground. I might be able to replace this. Replace stone. Oh, okay, stone doesn't work, obviously. So let's replace moss. Works. Yes, it works. Okay, so I can simply just paste them where I want them by just standing here. I'm pasting them, and then I can put the bamboo on top. So at first I place down the drip leaf with the moss block on top, and then you see the red wool. It's to mark where I have to place the leaves. And then I placed them, and I also rotated them a bit. I varied in between the two designs I made, and that's how I got like a little varying result. So now that this place already looks so bambooified, ooh, I want to add some leaves into the water to make the moss block a little more submerged into the water. I'm gonna vary in between jungle and azalea leaves. Then I'm also gonna place around a couple drip leaf. I will also decorate with lily pads. And something I also want to do is I place down some drip leaf, and then I am placing some kind of block. I'm using world edit to change it to cactus flower, and voila! We have a little lily pad flower. This is obviously only made possible with world edit, but you still have other options, just like trapdoors with them on it. You know, you can always do that if you don't have world edit. Now that I'm finished with the floor with like some lily pads and whatnot, I do still feel like it's not in shade enough. Like I feel like there would be more trees hanging over it in my imagination, because like I had a dream about this place. I mean, you can imagine it a little better if I turn on shaders. It kind of looked like this. Like I had the dream of like bamboo being in the water, but it was way more in shade because there was like trees hanging over it. Like, so I do think I want to paste 2 more big trees in here. So this already gives much more vibe of a jungle. Now there's one thing I want to change still, and it's the biome in here. I feel like I love warm ocean, but I think I'm gonna change it again because I did a bamboo forest here already, and I used mangrove water for this because I feel like mangrove water is a little bit more green. Also, it makes it look more in shadow, obviously. And the way I apply the command is by typing in this command with the mangrove swamp. I can also do it with world edit if I want to, but right now I just prefer doing it this way. So that is the look of the place now, which means we are done with our second spot of the 3 spots we wanted to work on. So we have the spot at the bottom with a waterfall, we have the spot at the top with a bamboo forest, and now last but not least we're gonna go over to this giant, originally desert, and we're gonna turn it into a tropical beach. So let's get started. So here we are, not quite far away from the bamboo forest we just made. And at first, something I definitely have to do first is getting rid of all of the plants here, because these are desert plants and we're making a tropical beach and not a dry wasteland. So second of all, we're gonna work on the shape. I do think it had quite a funny shape, but I wanted to make it look more beachy with a shore that transitions smoothly to the ocean and not too steep. After that, I added a little more green to make it transition into the beach and not make it feel like it's cut off. And off camera, I also added some slabs here. I made this little pond, I made this big grassy area, and I made a gradient over to the sand. I always like making a gradient by, you know, you have the grass, you have the moss, then I use a path block, and then I use sand. I think that transitions quite nicely. I also did the same over here, and I also added some slabs around it using sandstone and oak slabs. You wonder, hey, you're using wood, this makes no sense, this is a path block. Well, it's the closest color. So now that this is already very terraformed, this goes into the water like a real beach, you know, it's just going deeper and deeper. Now I want to obviously add some palm trees because I love palm trees. Slash paste one here, I'd say. So basically I made this preset already of palm tree leaves. I basically split it up in like bottom leaves, top leaves, and in the middle I have these kind of sideways. And now to make them look less floating, I'm gonna go in with some jungle wood and I'm gonna add the cocoa beans to this, so they have like cocoa nuts instead of cocoa beans, but yeah. Then I use some mangrove wood and I make a little stair situation and more mangrove wood. Hello car. Here, I have a grass block. The car does not like the grass block. So let's move this stair situation down a bit. And now the stairs look a little out of place, right? So for that, I already have a plan. So I'm using some strict dark oak wood is very strict to make it a little more transitioned. And there we have a big old palm tree. So I'm gonna do this with the others as well. And then I'm gonna place around a couple more palm trees. So now that all the palm trees are placed, I also placed some tiny ones, some banana trees. Banana. And we need to plantify the place, obviously, and we can, yes, we can use bone meal, but we also want to do some more interesting things than just bone mealing, especially because we can't bone meal sand, but we can place down some happy little grass, because it's dry grass, you know, it's like the dry gas, but it's dry grass. We're also gonna, like, I mainly want to place like bushes around the trees so they look not so random when they come out of the sand. Also, my all-time favorite, I need to place down my all-time favorite, it's the fern. And last but not least, I want to add some item frames with nautilus shells on them and share them. That's a plugin, by the way, that I can share these. And I also can add some little buttons on the beach. And last but not least, I want to build a little something, and it has something to do with 2 palm trees and something specific you can do. First, I'm surrounding these with signs. Then I'm making a stair go down on the other side. I think I'm gonna switch out these sides, actually. I always forget what the thing that I'm building is called. I know what it's in German. In German it's eine Hängematte. And in English, yeah, I guess you guys have to figure it out yourself. Oopsie. I'm just trying to connect these with trapdoors. And then I'll make some stairs. So the stairs are there to connect the Hängematte, the hanging mattress basically. The German word basically says to connect it to the rest. And now I'm gonna go ahead and place a bed here and a bed there. And yeah, I think it looks quite like it. These are not really connected, so I'm gonna connect them by adding some trapdoors. And I can just chill and sleep here if I wanted to. Might be a little difficult to get up, but I have wings. I don't struggle. So now the whole place is finished. Let's end it up with some lovely cinematic shots of the place in shaders. Woo! On big builds like this, I unfortunately do not have the time to show you every single bit that I've built. I have built so many places that you guys didn't even get to see. So I tried my best to show you guys with these clips what the place actually feels and look like when you walk through it. There will probably at some point also be a world download, but that is something for the future. For now, all you can look at is these lovely shots, and I'm so proud of what I did. I really like making my dreams come true by building them in Minecraft. And if you'd like to do that too, I have a Discord server where you can share all your forms of art, and I hope I can see you there. See you in the next one or on my Discord. Bye bye!